Good morning, class. We move on further with geography explanation of the chapter Manufacturing Industries, where we last time covered the Tata Iron and Steel Company at Jamshedpur, which was established way back in 1907, and how it has been working, the raw material and the other things which are easily available in and around Jamshedpur, thus making it plausible enough, easily available for the development of this industry at this place. Okay, now moving further, we now take up the next heading called Pittsburgh Youngstown. Now, the steel industry at Pittsburgh is an important steel center of USA. That industry enjoys the good location at Pittsburgh, and as it is located near the Great Lakes region. Now, please underline the Great Lakes region, underline Pittsburgh. Now, we need to know that one in India we have done Jamshedpur. Then now we are doing Pittsburgh, which is in USA. And it is also a very important steel center. Okay. Now, coal is available locally, while the iron ore comes from the iron mines in Minnesota. Please underline Minnesota. Now, the iron ore is easily available in Pittsburgh, and the main center is Minnesota, which is about 1,500 kilometers from Pittsburgh. Between these mines and Pittsburgh is one of the world's best routes for shipping ore cheaply. The famous Great Lakes waterway trains carry the ore from the Great Lakes to the Pittsburgh area. The Ohio, the Monongahela, and Allegheny rivers provide adequate water supply. So please underline the names of the rivers and the lakes. The Great Lakes, there are 5 Great Lakes, and so the iron ore shipping is done easily from these Great Lakes. It is carried down by the train and it reaches Pittsburgh. Okay, the names of the rivers have been given, which provide adequate water supply. Most of the large steel mills are located in the valleys of Monongahela and Allegheny rivers above Pittsburgh and along the Ohio River below it. Finished steel is transported to the markets by both land and water routes. The Pittsburgh area has many factories other than steel mills that use steel as their raw material to make many different products such as railroad equipments, heavy machinery, and rails. So here it is, they are telling you the basic rivers which are making it possible to help in transportation. Then also not just transportation, the finishing, since iron and steel, it's burnt in great huge furnaces, so a lot of heat is generated. Once the steel is formulated, is given shape, then a lot of water is needed to cool down and to give it a proper firm shape. So the water supply from these rivers help a lot in making this industry flourish and prosper in the place called Pittsburgh in USA. Now we come on to cotton textile industry. Now weaving cloth from yarn is an ancient art. The textile industry can be divided into 2 parts on the basis of development. Traditional industries that include cotton, flax, jute, wool, silk, etc. These are the natural fibers, okay? These are done in the traditional industries. These are dealt. But the modern industries, which include synthetic fiber, such as rayon, nylon, and terylene, etc. So in modern industries, even synthetic fiber, that is man-made fiber by mixing various materials with plastic and other kind of silks, the natural fibers are refined and made into synthetic fibers. And the outputs are called rayon, nylon, and terylene, etc. These are the three named here. So please underline the natural fibers: cotton, flax, jute, wool, and silk, and synthetic fibers: rayon, nylon, terylene. Now, cotton textile industry is the largest industry in the world. It was started as a cottage industry, and it is oldest industry also. So please underline the oldest and the earliest. Okay, it is the largest and the earliest industry. It mainly developed in the ancient countries like China and India. As soon as India's name comes, please underline it. So it was in the ancient countries such as China and India. They started long time before. Till the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century, cotton cloth was made using hand spinning techniques, on the wheel, charkha jise kehte hain. So it was done in those techniques in the earlier times and on looms. Then in the 18th century, power looms facilitated the development of cotton textile industries. Then those same looms were generated through power. Okay, that means the speed was quickened. Now, first in the Great Britain and later in other parts of the world. So the power looms were established first in Great Britain. Okay, once it modernized, it was Great Britain who speeded up the industry. Then at present, India, China, Japan, and USA are important producers of cotton textile. Underline these names: India, China, Japan, and USA. They are the prominent producers. Okay. Then we come on to cotton textile industry in India. That means we are now going to deal with India. The cotton textile industry is the oldest industry of our country. It has been developed in Harappan Mohenjo-daro civilization. Please underline this. So oldest one to develop was in the times when the early civilizations were beginning. It was from Harappan Mohenjo-daro civilization that the cotton textile was used. India has a glorious tradition of producing good quality cotton textiles. Before the British rule, Indian hand spun and hand woven cloth already had a wide market. So the hand spun cloth and hand woven cloth was already very common in India. If you remember khadi ke kapde, those were basically in those times hand woven. Okay. Then the muslins of Dhaka, chintzis of Machilipatnam, and calicos of Calicut, etc., were known worldwide for their quality and design. So underline muslins of Dhaka, chintzis of Machilipatnam, and calicos of Calicut. Okay, these were the important centers and the types. Muslin is a type of a cloth, just like chintzit and just like calicos. Okay, so they were the famous varieties, and they were beautiful in their quality and design. But the production of hand woven textile was expensive and time consuming. Obviously, one who's doing with hands will take a lot more effort and a lot more time to finish off. And so hence traditional cotton textile industry could not face the competition from the new textile mills of the West, which produced cheap and good quality of clothes. So now the industry was replaced by the mill work. That means huge factories were laid down where bulk production of cotton cloth was done at a very great speed. The work did by men was replaced by big, huge machines. And so the traditional Indian industries had to suffer a setback also, because they had to match up with the times. They were not able to produce as much as the textile mills were producing at that time. So the first successful mechanized modern textile mill was established in Mumbai in 1854. It was in 1854 that the first textile mill was established in Mumbai. Underline Mumbai, underline the year, underline the name. It was the textile mill. The following conditions were favorable for the rapid growth of this industry in Mumbai. Which were the following conditions? the warm and moist climate, port for importing machinery, availability of raw material, and skilled labor. That means the climate was suitable, it was warm and moist as well. Then Mumbai being next to the seaport, so provided an important port for trading. Then availability of raw material was there, and also the skilled labor. That means people were available to work out the theme. Initially, this industry flourished in the states of Maharashtra and Gujarat because of favorable humid climate. But today, humidity can be created artificially, and raw cotton is a pure and not weight losing raw material. So, this industry has spread to other parts of India as well. Now, the important places being Coimbatore, Kanpur, Chennai, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Kolkata, Ludhiana, Puducherry, and Panipat are some of the other important centers. So, apart from Mumbai and Ahmedabad, that means places in Maharashtra and Gujarat, now the humidity could be created artificially. And so, there were other places also who took up to making the textile industries flourish, and the names have been underlined by us. Now we come on to Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is also called the Manchester of India, as most of the cotton mills are concentrated here. It also produces most of the cotton textile of India. Ahmedabad is located in Gujarat on the bank of the river Sabarmati, where first mill was established in 1859. Following favorable locational factors are responsible for the development of cotton textile industry in Ahmedabad. So now Ahmedabad is known as Manchester of India. Now this is a nickname given to it after the mass production it took up with the establishment of the first mill in 1859. The first mill in India was established in Mumbai in 1854, as it is given here. Yeah. But overall, it was Ahmedabad which took the run, and in 1859, after establishing its first mill, it worked in mass production. It was next to the bank called next to the bank of the river Sabarmati. Okay. Now the favorable factors which made it possible are just the same, only they have given again. Let us see. Ahmedabad is situated in the heart of cotton growing area, which ensures easy availability of raw material and humid climate, which is suitable for spinning and weaving. So now, first thing, climate is humid, and it is good for the production. Apart from this, Ahmedabad was next to the raw material source. Cotton is grown in this area in plenty. So you can see the first point, the warm and humid moist climate. Then see the third point, availability of raw material. And all, these 2 points are dealt in the first point only here. So favorable, the conditions remain the same. Humid climate and raw material next to it, very closely available. The next second jota says the flat terrain and easy availability of land is suitable for establishment of cotton mills. So since the land terrain was flat, that means the geographical factors also helped. The land was not uneven, it was flat land, and so the construction of mills could be possible here for manufacturing these raw materials into cotton textile mills. Then third point, the skilled and semi-skilled labor is available for the densely populated estates of Gujarat and Maharashtra. Now Gujarat and Maharashtra being big towns, big states and having big towns in it. So they very soon attracted most of the skilled and semi-skilled laborers. So you can see the last point here, skilled labor. So whatever in general we talk of, the factors which helped in rapid growth could be individually also dealt in a little elaborate way. Okay. So skilled labor was available in both Maharashtra and Gujarat. That is the reason why in Maharashtra and Mumbai it was set up, and in Gujarat it was Ahmedabad. In Maharashtra, that is Mumbai, it was started in 1854, whereas in Ahmedabad, it began in 1859, Ahmedabad is in Gujarat. Then last point, Mumbai port nearby facilitates import of machinery and export of cotton textiles. And if you see, even Gujarat has a border touching to in Arabian Sea. That means even here the ports were easily available. Apart from it, the material made here in Ahmedabad was exported to Mumbai, and then from there it was sent abroad. At present, Ahmedabad textile mills are facing problems for their existence, and several textile mills have closed down. This is due to emergence of new textile centers in the country. Use of old and obsolete technology cannot compete with the new and modern technology. So here they are telling you that the mills that we are talking of, which was in Ahmedabad, has lately lost its importance. Why? Because it is not able to give the competition which is required. The present day competition, which is mostly needed, is not available in Ahmedabad, though this was 2, 3 years back. Recently, if you see, ever since the government has changed, there has been drastic improvement in the industry, especially in Ahmedabad. So we stop here for today. We'll take Osaka as our new heading next time. Thank you, children. I'm deliberately. Good morning, everyone. We begin with the chapters, further explanation, manufacturing industries. Last time we covered the cotton textile industries in Maharashtra, that is Mumbai, and in Gujarat, Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is also known as Manchester of India. Why? Because it is here that the first mill was established long time back in 1859, whereas the first mill in India which started working was in Mumbai in 1854. Now, Ahmedabad and Mumbai both are closer to the seaport, so it's easily helping in transportation and export and import of goods. Apart from this, the black soil is rich in the supply of cotton, and the growth of cotton is easily available. So the industries are set up in these two areas. Apart from this, the raw material is very close by. The transportation, the unskilled and skilled labor is easily available in these places, and thus making these two places remarkably important for the growth of this cotton and textile industries. Now, today we'll talk of further Osaka. Now, earlier we talked of Mumbai and Ahmedabad. These are the two places in India we talked of, and we will be definitely marking these two in the map of India. But all over the world, we have taken Osaka. So Osaka is in Japan, and let's see and hear what Osaka. All eyes here. Osaka. It is a well-known textile center of Japan and is also known as the Manchester of Japan. Please underline this, Manchester of Japan. Just as Ahmedabad is called Manchester of India, in the same way, Osaka is called Manchester of Japan. The textile industry located in Japan completely depends upon the imported raw material. That means the raw material is not at all available in Japan, but it is imported from other countries. It is taken, borrowed, bought from other countries. Okay, due to the following reasons, the textile industry is developed here. Now, the first reason is the extensive plain around Osaka is suitable for the growth of cotton mills. Now, it's a plain area, a plain land. So, giving it a reason good enough to set up the industries here. And so the cotton mills are established on the plains here. That means the geographical feature is the plain. And since Osaka has a plain area, so many industries are set up here, especially the cotton mills. Then second reason, it has warm and humid climate, which is suitable for spinning and weaving. imported means I think it is sent. Depends upon the import. No. It is bought, sorry. Then it has warm and humid climate, which is again suitable for spinning and weaving of cloth. Okay. Easy availability of labor. Now here also the labor is easily available. Then regular water supply for cotton mills from the river Yodo. Underline the name of the river Yodo. And these are the reasons favorable, good enough for the setting up of the cotton mills here in Osaka. Now we come on to the next places where they are basically, other than that, it has been already stated that the mills in Osaka completely depend upon imported raw materials. It imports cotton from, now see the places from where it gets cotton. Please underline because you have India here, Egypt, India, China, and USA. These are the places from where the cotton is taken. The finished product is mostly exported and has good market due to good quality and low price. So once the things are made, once the product is ready, then it is exported to other places for sale. And you will see that the markets are very good because it's firstly the quality of clothes is good that they produce and the prices are also reasonable. Okay, so although Osaka is important for textile, but now that industry is being replaced by other industries such as iron and steel, machinery, shipbuilding, automobiles, electrical equipment, and cement. So apart from this, since it has hot and humid climate and since it is borrowing the raw material, that means the cotton is borrowed from other places like Egypt, India, and China, USA. So they are now replacing this industry of cotton textiles. It is changing to iron and steel, then machinery, shipbuilding, automobiles, electric equipments, and cement making. So it is gradually changing. Then we come on to the next heading, IT. That means information technology. Now this again is a nice heading. You should be knowing about Silicon Valley. So let us do it. The IT industry deals in the storage, processing, and distribution of information. This is a global industry. It includes a series of technological, political, and socioeconomic events. Resource availability, cost, and infrastructure are the main factors responsible for its location. Silicon Valley in California and Bangalore in India are the major hubs of information technology, that is IT. So please underline Silicon Valley in California and in Bangalore, that is in India. So since the latest technology of resource information and resources, it comes from these two places. Basically, they are very technically savvy. They are very techno savvy. They are very advanced in these use applicability and use of the various connection through internet, through media. So all this is having the information technology at hand in these two places called Silicon Valley in California and Bangalore in India. Let us go for Silicon Valley. It is located in California and it is a part of Santa Clara Valley. That means it's a big, huge valley, Santa Clara Valley. Out of this big, huge area, a little portion, which is called Silicon Valley, is the place where in California there's a proper setup for the use and advancement of international information technology. Okay. Now, this Santa Clara Valley, which is located next to the Rocky Mountains of North America, it has temperate climate. Following factors are responsible for the location of IT industry in Silicon Valley. Let us see the factors. It is close to some of the most advanced scientific and technological centers in the world. So since it deals with information and technology, so it has to be very scientifically and technologically advanced. So it is located near the places which are hoping up to be as smart as they are. So it has pleasant climate with an attractive and clean environment. So it's a healthy place to be and a nice way. That is the information technology is not hampering any of the environmental hazards. It's not causing any environmental hazard. So it's an attractive place, clean place, and healthy place. Then plenty of space is available for development and future expansion. Plus there's availability of place for the in future if they want to expand further. Okay. Then next is well-developed network of roads and airports. So it is also well-connected. Communication is very fast and quick, and it is connected to major places through roads and through airport. Okay. Then good access to markets and skilled workforce. So skilled labor, that means technically advanced people, people who are known, aware of their knowledge, they are easily available. There's good access for the markets with all the latest technology, the latest equipment, say the latest uh, phones or the laptops, etc., are easily available in and around that area. The marketplace is really advanced. So that is what is Silicon Valley. We now come on to Bangalore, which is now called Bengaluru. It is located on the Deccan Plateau, from where it gets the name Silicon Plateau. Now, since it's a plateau region here, the Deccan area, the peninsular India is a Deccan is a plateau area. That means it's a raised platform area. And since it's in Deccan, and so it is, Bangalore is also called as Silicon Plateau. Now, in Bangalore, we find mild climate throughout the year, which is suitable for long working hours. Now, especially the climate, if it is favorable, people can work for longer hours. And if it is hot and humid, you don't feel like working. Imagine yourself on a, in the classroom in June and July. Don't you feel sticky and sweaty? So in the same way, the conducive environment is there. Once the outer skills are good enough to balance with the inner skills, then the environmental factors do play a major role. So there could be long working hours. People sit on the computers, working on the programmings, etc., for longer hours because of the lovely atmosphere and the climate here. The next point is, sorry, uh, development due to the following favorably. It has large number of educational institutions and IT colleges in India, which produce quality intellectuals that provide skilled people for that industry. Now, there are a number of information technology colleges which are in India, and so many quality intellectuals are provided. And there is a lot of brain in India which is used for this skilled purpose to build up this industry more and more. Then second point, Bangalore was considered dust-free with low rents and cost of living. Now it is dust-free city, rents are low, people who are settling here find it easy, and the cost of living is not that high. Okay, the next is the state government of Karnataka was the first to announce IT policy in 1992. Please read about this on Google. IT policy in 1992, for which the Karnataka government has put its foot down. They have started this policy. Now, what is this policy? I would, before in our next class, before beginning the question answers and exercises, I would ask you what policy are they talking of? Okay. Then the next jotter says the city has the largest and the widest availability of skilled managers with work experience. So people are well experienced, they are well technologically advanced, they are techno savvy. So they are the skilled people working in this field. Okay. Bangalore has always had a unique advantage as a city with highest availability of middle and top management talent. So please underline this. It has been very, very advanced, and there's a unique feature here that mostly the high level managers or the technically advanced toppers in talent wise, they are basically found here. Why? Because the people come and settle here. When those who are into computers and technology, they definitely opt for Bangalore being the topmost area to be here. Then the IT industry is also emerging at some other centers of India, such as Mumbai, New Delhi, Hyderabad, and Chennai. Gurgaon, Pune, Tiruvananthapuram, Kochi, Chandigarh are other important centers where IT industry is emerging gradually. So these are the other few places. You need to tick them and remember them. But the first one and the foremost important is Bangalore. So with this, we come to an end of this chapter. Next time when we meet, I'll be talking about IT policy started by the government of Karnataka, and then we will move on to the exercises and question answers. You can see I've already done. All we need is to sit together and do it in the classroom in our next working class. Please go through the chapter reading, make a map showing all these